Now at 9, 4 staters donate their Thanksgiving Day to help others. Also, it's returned to normal for many 4-state families this Thanksgiving. Tonight, we hear from a local woman whose last Thanksgiving was anything but normal.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jordan Abby. Happy Thanksgiving. Giving thanks was the goal of today, and several 4-staters let complete strangers know they're thankful for them. More than 400 Thanksgiving Day meals were delivered by the Carthage Crisis Center. The center also hosted 22 of their residents, along with family and friends, for some food and fellowship. Volunteers at the Crisis Center say a smile, some good food, and fellowship make all the difference on a day like today.
This is my 7th Thanksgiving here at the Carthage Crisis Center, and there are families that have come every year that I've been here, and they've been doing it before I got here. So it becomes a family tradition. It becomes a way to begin your Thanksgiving Day by serving others.
Carthage Crisis Center provides resources to the homeless. Another organization donating time and money to others today. The First Methodist Church in Joplin hosted a drive-through dinner.
Last year we served close to 800 meals, and so we thought maybe a lot more people would be traveling this year and we wouldn't see quite as many. In the first 45 minutes today we served over 400 people, so it's been a lot of folks, which is great. Okay, perfect.
Dinners could be picked up between 11 this morning and 1 in the afternoon. More than 1,000 people showed up to this morning's Turkey Trot in Joplin. Started at 7:30, went to 10 this morning. The 10th annual 5K run or walk started at South Virginia Avenue, ended right in front of City Hall. It's become a highlight of Thanksgiving for many people.
We're here to have fun. We're here for tradition. We're here for community. Yeah.
Yes, and to run. Family, friends, it's everybody coming together to just enjoy their time. I get to see so many people that I don't get to see throughout the year because they came home for the holidays.
No word yet on how many calories burned this morning were replaced during Thanksgiving lunch or dinner, or those awesomely equal Thanksgiving Day leftovers. Well, last year, Jennifer Parks of Joplin was spending Thanksgiving in a hospital room on a ventilator because of a severe case of COVID-19. This year, different story. She's spending it with loved ones at her side. KON's Bronte Sorotsky spoke with her on celebrating her first Thanksgiving since fighting this virus.
This Thanksgiving, Jennifer Parks is celebrating with her loved ones by her side. It's a significant change from how she spent the holiday last year.
I was at Mercy Hospital. I was on the ventilator in ICU, battling COVID.
Parks was diagnosed with COVID-19 and hospitalized last November. There, she spent over a month on a ventilator and even more time in the hospital.
I was on the ventilator for 33 days, and then I was in the hospital for 2 months, and then I was in the nursing home for 3 months. Every day, is a fight. I have a lot of pains in my legs and feet. I have neuropathy now, and just things that I didn't have.
Due to the severity of her infection, Parks had to be fed through a feeding tube. This year, she's actually able to enjoy her favorite Thanksgiving dishes.
After I got off the ventilator, I ended up with a trach and a feeding tube. And so I really don't remember not having that. But this year, I can taste and I can smell, and it's wonderful. It's wonderful to have that back.
After her rough battle with COVID, Parks has a message she says she wants to get across.
If you can get the vaccine, get the vaccine. Because I think that, we're having Friendsgiving because we've all been vaccinated. We're able to actually get together. Because yes, I might have gotten COVID, but it might not have been as bad. I wouldn't have ended up on a ventilator or had a stroke.
Now that Parks is back home with her loved ones, she says she has even more to be thankful for this year. In Joplin, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
Parks says she's still recovering from side effects of having the virus, things like hair loss and needing a walker to get around. This Thanksgiving is a lot closer to the traditional holiday than last year's. Many observances that were canceled or curtailed because of the pandemic have returned in some form this weekend. Fox News correspondent Brian Innes takes a look now from New York.
The 95th annual Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade came back this year in full force.
It's live and awesome, and there's everything here. It's the whole vibe of the city coming together.
Last year's parade was only televised and featured no crowds, and the parade route was shortened. This year, thousands of spectators and families lined the streets, masks required, as 24 floats, 8,000 marchers, and 10 marching bands led the way for the real stars of the show, the 15 gigantic helium-inflated character balloons. Standing as tall as 62 feet, this year's balloons included new additions like Grogu or Baby Yoda from Star Wars and Ada Twist from Netflix, as well as classics like Snoopy, Ronald McDonald, and the Pillsbury Doughboy. The event culminating, of course, with the one and only Santa Claus. The Turkey Day Parade also made a triumphant return in Chicago, and runners in Dallas and beyond took part in annual turkey trots. For millions of Americans, it's the first time in 2 years that Thanksgiving feels like, well, Thanksgiving. Sure, there are reminders we've got a way to go. The pandemic, supply shortages, and inflation. Your Thanksgiving dinner costs were up 14% this year compared to last year, according to the American Farm Bureau Federation. AAA says it'll be more expensive to drive back home. Thanksgiving gas prices are at an 8-year high. Even the liquor industry is facing supply hiccups.
The shortages are crazy, and so we're buying as much champagne as we can so that we can continue to fill our shelves.
Still, reminders of the true spirit of Thanksgiving are priceless. More than 28,000 U.S. troops stationed in South Korea away from their families celebrated with their fellow soldiers.
So this is a family, so I'm okay. I still feel the love and the spirit of Thanksgiving.
And in New York City today, an NYPD officer received a hero's walkout as she was released from the hospital. Last night, she was shot in the arm twice. Tonight, she's home with her family. Happy Thanksgiving. In New York City, Brian Yennis, Fox News.
President Biden spending his Thanksgiving Day holiday on upscale Nantucket, where he's staying at the home of a billionaire businessman. We're learning now more about President Biden's recent medical checkup and his overall health. Fox News White House correspondent Jackie Heinrich has more.
What am I thankful for? I'm not joking when I say I'm thankful for these guys.
Spending Thanksgiving on Nantucket, the Commander-in-Chief and First Lady making a stop at Coast Guard Station Brant Point, where they dialed into a virtual call with service members from all 6 military branches to give thanks.
I've watched these people. I've watched them in the South China Sea. I've watched them in Afghanistan, Iraq. I've watched them in South America. Wherever they are, people wonder what America is. They look and they see them, and they make me proud. I really mean it. Bottom of my heart.
President Biden's island holiday marks a return to a 45-year tradition, only broken a few times, including after the death of his son Beau and amid the pandemic last year. The first family sharing a message to those grieving this holiday.
As we give thanks for what we have, we also keep in our hearts those who we lost and those who have lost so much, and those who have an empty seat at their kitchen table or their dining room table this year because of this virus or another cruel twist of fate or accident. We pray for them. The president's own health also coming into focus after the White House announced a polyp removed during Biden's colonoscopy last week is a benign, slow-growing, but thought to be precancerous lesion for which no more action is required at this time. The tubular adenoma is similar to one Biden had removed in 2008, White House physician Dr. Kevin O'Connor said in a letter advising routine surveillance and another colonoscopy in 7 to 10 years, when Biden will be in his late 80s. 2 areas of observation outlined in the president's physical included keeping an eye on his frequent throat clearing and noticeably stiffer gait compared to last year. And while the White House doctor officially deemed Biden healthy, vigorous, and fit to successfully execute the duties of the president, he is the oldest president in American history. And a Fox News poll showed more than half of voters think the president's age is interfering with his job, including 49% of voters over 65 and 28% of Democrats. When the president is back in the White House next week, there'll be a renewed emphasis on getting his nominees confirmed, including his pick for the Office of Management and Budget. If confirmed, Shalonda Young will be the first black woman to hold that post. On Nantucket, Jackie Heinrich, Fox News.
On this Thanksgiving Day, KOM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time to thank and honor another 4-state hero. James Ditmar served in the U.S. Army from 1861 to 1864. Native of Chanute, Kansas, Ditmars fought with the Kansas Volunteer Cavalry, part of the Union Army. We are proud to thank and salute Sergeant James Ditmars, tonight's 4-state hero. Doug Katie's next with a complete look at the forecast, and later, Webb City preparing for the state semifinal against undefeated Jackson.
Well, I hope you had a great Thanksgiving, and weather-wise, it was okay. It was chilly, but we had plenty of sunshine across the region. We still have clear skies out there right now. This is a great shot, Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Now, you're definitely going to have the heater on tonight. It's going to be a cold one as we drop back into the mid-20s. Indigo Sky, of course, just outside of Seneca, Missouri. All right, we are going to start to warm things back up the next few days. The pattern's pretty calm. No storm systems. We're going to do the month-long forecast on December 1st. That's next Wednesday. The next day on Thursday, we're going to do the winter forecast, and we'll go through the entire winter into the spring, so you definitely don't want to miss that next Wednesday and Thursday. All right, temps today, we did get mid-40s. Not bad, but still pretty cold. We had clear skies all day long. Now we're dropping back, upper 20s to lower 30s. We aren't alone, though. The entire Central Plains, pretty cold. You can see southerly winds starting to pick up out to our west. That's our key for the next few days. Those southerly winds will help our temperatures warm up. Currently outside, 31, clear skies. East, northeasterly winds are light. Our dew point's at 22, so our actual temperature will get near the dew point. So we're going to go in the mid-20s later on tonight. The winds are pretty calm. You can see nothing's going on here. Nothing's going on across the entire Central Plains. Here's the storm system that affected us yesterday. The eastern seaboard heading away from us and out to the west, pretty calm. Our jet streams well to the north kind of dips in, but until we get any storm systems down across the southern parts of the Rockies, we're not going to see much action, and that's what we have in store for us over the next several days. All right, cold night tonight. The winds do start to crank out of the south by morning, but we're going to be into the mid-20s. Plenty of sunshine again tomorrow. I think about 10 degrees warmer than what we did see today. 24 to start, 50 by noon, high temp of 54. A little breezy, southerly winds at about 10 to 15. Tomorrow night, not near as chilly. We only drop back upper 30s to near 40. And then now we're heading into the weekend. Saturday, partly sunny skies, but it looks pretty good. We're going to go into lower 60s for highs. A cold front drops through Saturday night. So a little bit cooler by the time we head into Sunday, but I still think Sunday in general is shaping up pretty good as we go into the mid-50s. All right, Sunday into Monday, 60s, Tuesday, mid-60s, Wednesday into the 60s to near 70. Here's Thursday. You can see nothing going on all next week. We don't even get any rain chances in here until next week, and until then, it's pretty weather boring. 54 tomorrow, 64 on Saturday, 55 on Sunday. And then look at our temps all next week. Mainly mid to upper 60s, well above our average high for this time of the year. Jordan?
All right, Doug, thank you. Coming up, going to check in with the family that left Afghanistan, how the children are adjusting to life in America. Authorities in Siberia recovering bodies after a deadly fire in a mine. Fire taking place inside an active coal mining facility in southwestern Siberia. Authorities say 52 are dead, more than 40 injured, with other miners still trapped. An unnamed official says the fire may have been caused by a coal dust that sparked, and smoke from that traveled through the mine's ventilation system. Well, athletes who played years of football had more brain damage on MRI scans. A new study published in the American Academy of Neurology found that those who played contact sports had increased white matter on these scans, which were associated with changes in the brain. And the more years of football played, the higher the amounts of white matter. The research was based on the brains of 75 football or soccer players, boxers, or military veterans who all donated their brains to research after passing away. After an Afghan family fled Afghanistan after the U.S. military withdrawal, the family and children seem to be adjusting well to life here in America. Here's national security correspondent Jennifer Griffin.
3 months ago, Johnny, who served as a combat translator for the 82nd Airborne in Afghanistan, did not know what would happen to him and his family after the U.S. military withdrawal. Today, his daughters are getting something they never would have received under the Taliban, an education.
Every morning, she's coming to my room and wake up us. They keep asking, we want to go to school, like, we like school. We have a friend back school. We want to play with them.
His daughters have been welcomed at their new school in Weddington, North Carolina, and embraced by the community where many of the soldiers he once served alongside now live. These soldiers from the 82nd Airborne helped him and his family escape Kabul in August.
The moment that they pulled up, it got to be so quiet, like you could hear a pin drop. And the girls get out of the car and they walked up, and of course they were smiling, beaming ear to ear. And my families and kids just were waving and saying hello in their native language.
They play soccer on the same team as the daughters of Sergeant Mike Verardo and his wife Sarah. Johnny served as a translator for Mike, who lost his leg and suffered a traumatic brain injury. Both Mike and Johnny each have 3 daughters. Now they are neighbors, and their daughters are best friends. Their girls went trick-or-treating for the first time and now have playdates after school.
That was actually first Halloween in the United States.
Mujda, age 7, and Mushkan, age 5, did not speak a word of English when they arrived at Ray View Elementary School.
Google Translate doesn't have Dari on it, so it's been an experience with that. So a lot of hand gestures, pictures, but it's little things, to get them to understand. Last week, Mujda actually said a full sentence in English.
Her first sentence?
I like pizza. Mujda loves pizza. Getting to come into school every day and learn, especially as a girl, they are just so excited and are little sponges.
This Thanksgiving, one Afghan family has brought so much joy to this North Carolina community who opened their hearts and helped them start their new life in America.
I'm grateful to be safe here. I'm grateful for this first Thanksgiving. I'm here with my family.
At the Pentagon, Jennifer Griffin, Fox News.
Next, the ongoing vaccine mandates debate with some federal workers behind a new lawsuit. Protection from the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine wanes over time. That's according to a new study published in the BMJ. The research found that there is a gradual increase in the risk of COVID-19 infection starting 90 days after receiving a second dose, meaning breakthrough infections are more likely 3 months after the shot. Study authors believe a booster shot may be necessary to prevent infection and spread of the virus. A new coronavirus variant has been detected in South Africa. Scientists say it is of concern because of its high number of mutations and rapid spread among young people. Here in this country, there is continued resistance by many to vaccine mandates. Fox News correspondent Kevin Cork takes a look.
With numerous lawsuits pending over vaccine mandates from groups representing teachers, airline workers, law enforcement officers, and firefighters, it is certainly arguable that there's a growing resistance to being compelled to take the shot, with thousands of Americans now willing to fight and or walk away from their jobs to preserve their bodily autonomy. In fact, Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, South Carolina, and Utah are among the more than half of all U.S. states filing or joining lawsuits in opposition to the federal rule, which would require businesses with more than 100 employees to enforce vaccine mandates. And the recent challenges may be turning the legal tide. Citing a recent court order by the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit that granted a motion to stay the vaccine mandate, OSHA, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, has announced it will temporarily stop its enforcement efforts, quote, pending future developments in the litigation. This as some federal workers are now also pushing back, with a lawsuit filed just this week on behalf of a U.S. military member charging that the government's shot mandate is unlawful and unconstitutional.
We're getting ready to start kicking out our service members right now over this COVID vaccine. Does this not make us question what are the priorities of this administration? Is it national security or is it this woke movement?
But the White House insists mandates work, noting that just one day after its deadline for compliance, that some 92% of the 3.5 million federal workers affirmed that they were at least vaccinated partially.
Let's be clear. Vaccination requirements should not be another issue that divides us. Every day, we see more businesses implementing vaccination requirements, and the mounting data shows that they work.
Still, critics question the efficacy of so-called heavy-handed vaccine mandates. They point to states like Michigan, which up until June had a mask mandate that had lasted for several months, and yet now the state leads the entire nation in daily COVID cases. That, of course, all happening despite the fact that more than 60% of Michiganders are at least partially vaccinated. In Washington, I'm Kevin Cork, Fox News.
All right, when we come back, going to check out a gingerbread competition going on in Sweden. 'Tis the season for holiday fun and a bake-off, an annual baking competition in Sweden, including some unique sweet designs. Many gingerbread houses there. Some contestants drew inspiration from Noah's Ark. Right there, look at all those animals. The iconic TV show Friends and the fall of the Berlin Wall. Tasty exhibition runs through the new year, and the winners are going to be picked from several categories, including bakers, architects, and designers. I love gingerbread. I love gingerbread houses. Looking at them, building them is a different story. They always fall apart on me. That's pretty cool, though. Good job to those guys and gals. 30 more minutes, news, weather, and sports coming away. A nativity scene destroyed at a well-known drive-through Christmas light display. Going to hear of a possible cause. Also, building military presence along the Russia-Ukraine border. Political talks reaching a boiling point. You may notice something missing from a popular drive-through Christmas lights display in Carthage, Missouri. Take a look at that. The nativity scene at the Way of Salvation light display. Carthage, Missouri, caught fire last night, destroyed everything in the nativity scene. A theatric element may have started that fire.
We believe it was a smoke machine that kind of caught on fire, kind of overworked itself. We've been leaving it on just to test it out, and then I guess we didn't realize how much it overworked, and then with yesterday's wind and everything, it started to, something clicked into the machine.
The Way of Salvation Christmas light display is still open, by the way. Look different this year again because of the ongoing pandemic, but the same message came from Joplin's Ronald McDonald House. The organization hosted on social media a pre-recorded Christmas tree lighting ceremony. People could also watch online some entertainment like special dancing. Ronald McDonald House workers say holiday cheer is especially important for people staying at the house.
Lights here at Ronald McDonald House help kind of serve as a beacon of hope and maybe bring some joy to the holiday season for those who are staying here that they're able to be close to their children while they're in the hospital by utilizing the services here at the house, and just to see the cheerfulness, it hopefully will lift their spirits.
This was the 20th annual Ronald McDonald House Charities Gift of Light, Gift of Love tree lighting event. Ukraine's foreign minister says his country's military has carried out tank drills and that a Russian attack on his country would incur political, economic, and human losses. Russian forces have been building up along their shared border for weeks. Tonight we hear from a top Ukrainian defense official about how his country is preparing. Here's correspondent Trey Yingst.
Thousands of Russian troops stage on the border of eastern Ukraine. Ukrainian military leadership warns they could be preparing to invade.
Our army is ready to repel these attacks or a full-scale invasion, and we are ready to protect objects of strategic infrastructure if they will be attacked.
Ukraine's Deputy Minister of Defense spoke with Fox News and says the Ukrainians are prepared for any possibility. This week, the U.S. Embassy in Kiev warned American citizens against traveling to eastern Ukraine and Russian-controlled Crimea, citing unusual Russian military activity. The Russians annexed Crimea in 2014 and have been in an ongoing conflict with Ukraine ever since. Ukraine is not a member of NATO and relies in part on allies for military support. Officials in Kiev have received reassurance from countries like the United States, the UK, and Germany that they will be supported if Russia invades.
We are very close allies of Ukraine, and we are working with our partners in NATO, but also directly with Ukraine to make sure that they are fully supported.
Russian President Vladimir Putin will make any final decision to launch an invasion, but retired Army Lieutenant General Keith Kellogg believes he's only trying to send a message, not expand the war.
I think he's causing a lot of problems by mashing on the border, but I don't think he's going to go into Ukraine. If he does go into Ukraine, it'll all be in the Donbass region, which is to the eastern part of Ukraine.
Both Russia and Ukraine held military exercises this week, and while the Russians say they aren't planning to invade, we've heard similar claims before military action was taken in the past. In Jerusalem, Trey Yingst, Fox News.
A bit later, dozens of cargo ships, tens of thousands of containers still sitting off the California coast. This despite federal efforts to address the supply chain crisis.
Well, I hope you had a great Thanksgiving, and weather-wise, it was okay. It was chilly, but we had plenty of sunshine across the region. We still have clear skies out there right now. This is a great shot, Indigo Sky Casino and Resort. Now, you're definitely going to have the heater on tonight. It's going to be a cold one as we drop back into the mid-20s. Indigo Sky, of course, just outside of Seneca, Missouri. All right, we are going to start to warm things back up the next few days. The pattern's pretty calm. No storm systems. We're going to do the month-long forecast on December 1st. That's next Wednesday. The next day on Thursday, we're going to do the winter forecast, and we'll go through the entire winter into the spring, so you definitely don't want to miss that next Wednesday and Thursday. All right, temps today, we did get mid-40s. Not bad, but still pretty cold. We had clear skies all day long. Now we're dropping back, upper 20s to lower 30s. We aren't alone, though. The entire Central Plains, pretty cold. You can see southerly winds starting to pick up out to our west. That's our key for the next few days. Those southerly winds will help our temperatures warm up. Currently outside, 31, clear skies. East, northeasterly winds are light. Our dew point's at 22, so our actual temperature will get near the dew point. So we're going to go in the mid-20s later on tonight. The winds are pretty calm. You can see nothing's going on here. Nothing's going on across the entire Central Plains. Here's the storm system that affected us yesterday. The eastern seaboard heading away from us and out to the west, pretty calm. Our jet streams well to the north kind of dips in, but until we get any storm systems down across the southern parts of the Rockies, we're not going to see much action, and that's what we have in store for us over the next several days. All right, cold night tonight. The winds do start to crank out of the south by morning, but we're going to be into the mid-20s. Plenty of sunshine again tomorrow. I think about 10 degrees warmer than what we did see today. 24 to start, 50 by noon, high temp of 54. A little breezy, southerly winds at about 10 to 15. Tomorrow night, not near as chilly. We only drop back upper 30s to near 40. And then now we're heading into the weekend. Saturday, partly sunny skies, but it looks pretty good. We're going to go into lower 60s for highs. A cold front drops through Saturday night. So a little bit cooler by the time we head into Sunday, but I still think Sunday in general is shaping up pretty good as we go into the mid-50s. All right, Sunday into Monday, 60s, Tuesday, mid-60s, Wednesday into the 60s to near 70. Here's Thursday. You can see nothing going on all next week. We don't even get any rain chances in here until next week, and until then, it's pretty weather boring. 54 tomorrow, 64 on Saturday, 55 on Sunday. And then look at our temps all next week. Mainly mid to upper 60s, well above our average high for this time of the year. Jordan?
Doug, thanks again. Coming up in sports, going to hear from Pitt State women's basketball after their win over Lindenwood. Also, Webb City continuing their pursuit for the program's 16th state championship. Danny Terzer has a story next.
The Webb City Cardinals don't have the holiday off this year, but I'd guess they're pretty pleased about that. They are just 2 days away from hosting the state semifinal. We caught up with the team ahead of their matchup with Jackson. The Webb City Cardinals have bought into a new mantra this postseason.
It's something Coach Bailey brought to us. He kind of been sharing that with the kids. You know, each win you get now, you get a new 7-day contract to play football.
This week is a big week, but the Cardinals feel poised as they prepare for the state semifinals.
It's a really big game, but I think as close as you can keep to normalcy, I think the better chance you have.
We make sure we leave no stone unturned, and we just try to prepare the best we can so we feel confident going into it.
As a program, Webb City has played in many late November games, and they have a history of thriving in them. The Cardinals are chasing their 16th state championship.
We know that our brothers have done it before in the past, so we're just like, we can do it too. We got a big name to hold up. You know, Webb City's been up there forever, and we're just trying to do our best to keep it up there.
This year's group has written their own unique story.
These guys are really special just from from where we were and the season that we've had. You know, we lose the first game of the year on the last second field goal by a point. You know, we win a couple, and then we get throttled by Carthage, and then it's just a team that, the resiliency of these guys. They just keep battling, keep working, keep showing up, and that's the thing I'm most proud of.
The story continues this Saturday as Webb City hosts undefeated Jackson. The Indians are the defending state champions.
Offensively, they can hurt you anyway. I mean, they can run it, they can throw it, they RPO. They got tremendous athletes. They're a team that you got to defend literally every inch of the field, whenever you're defending these guys, because they're so good.
We're just excited to get a shot at them. We hear a lot about it, but we just try to just work hard and do what we know to do.
The state semifinal is set for 1 p.m. on Saturday at Cardinal Stadium. The Pittsburgh State Gorillas picked up their third win in 4 games on Wednesday and are perfect at home on the early season. After a slower start, the Gorillas played their best minutes in the fourth quarter to roll by Lindenwood 74-56. Tristan Gegg was a big part of the team's late surge, scoring 16 of her team-high 22 points in the second half. Sydney Crane did it all, racking up 11 points and 7 rebounds.
Even when we were up, it felt like there were some moments of adversity where they went on a little run, and so mature teams will answer those runs, and mature teams can come back from being down, and so I feel like we've definitely grown. That's kind of been our mantra lately, is we know we're young, but we just need to keep growing, and then if we can grow while winning, then that makes us really happy.
Back with more news after this.
UPS has some tips for getting around what could be a challenging supply shopping time because of supply chain issues around the world. First, if you haven't already, start shopping now. Pack and ship things right away, almost right after you buy them for that matter. Have a backup plan like a gift card, services, or events tickets. That's a good idea. Also know the deadlines for different shipping companies. There's still dozens of cargo ships and tens of thousands of containers sitting off the California coast. This despite the president's efforts to address the supply chain crisis. National correspondent William Lajeunesse has an update from San Pedro.
Roger, Shanghai, final boarding time of 1230 for Los Angeles.
Managing America's supply chain begins here.
These guys are all loitering, right?
Those are all loitering. Inside the control tower handling ship traffic at the port of LA and Long Beach.
If they're coming from Asia, it normally takes 2 weeks to cross the ocean at 18 knots.
Officials hope the logjam here is over. Shipping costs and container volume from Asia is down, but it doesn't mean lower prices or more inventory at Christmas. The Gap, Nordstrom, Nike all say supply chain problems are hurting sales.
Holiday goods are shipping right now at unprecedented rates, again 20% above what the pre-pandemic numbers.
Because of that unprecedented volume, new rules for the sea. Instead of ships racing over from China only to sit offshore for a month, spewing pollution into the LA basin, going forward, ships must wait 150 miles offshore until a berth is open.
If they can slow steam from their last port of call and come here and arrive closer to their berth time, that's a benefit for everyone.
We have a massive backlog of ships, and those ships are emitting pollution into this region, which is already home to some of the worst air quality in the United States. LA Long Beach is #1 for smog.
Changes off the water are helping as well. Port officials say the threat of fines reduced the container backlog 33%, but labor is still tight. Inside the Seafarers Union Hall in San Pedro, there's not a crewman in sight.
I can't say we're short because we got manpower, but we're looking for more.
Local officials are optimistic.
Things are still tough, but they're getting a lot better. In a few months, are going to be a lot better.
Well, that's yet to be seen. West Coast dock workers just rejected a contract extension. And if they stop working, gridlock returns, and with it, the price spikes and shortages that experts already say will extend well into next year. In San Pedro, California, William Lajeunesse, Fox News.
All right, a preview of House of Gucci when we come back. The remarkable story of a famous Italian fashion dynasty comes to the big screen this week. Fox's Ashley Dvorkin has this story.
It was a name that sounded so sweet, so seductive.
The House of Gucci is a real-life crime drama about the family behind the Italian fashion empire. Set in the late 1980s, the film tells the story of Patrizia Reggiani, who hired a hitman to kill her ex-husband, Maurizio Gucci, the grandson of renowned fashion designer Guccio Gucci.
Your name is in the history books.
It's domestic and yet it's a crime piece. It's about infighting, it's about greed, and I think people will be fascinated to see what's behind a handbag.
I worked with the brand for 7 years now, and I never even knew anything about I didn't know there was a murder in the family. I didn't know there was this tumultuous dynasty.
Jared Leto is unrecognizable as Paolo Gucci, the cousin of Maurizio.
After sitting in the makeup chair for 6 hours a day and an hour to take it off, I realized that I actually have some form of patience. You just took the words right out of my guts. I think it's so exciting to be in the midst of that process, that transformative process, and to walk along a different path, to jump into a different set of shoes and to live a different life.
Jeremy Irons plays Rodolfo Gucci, an Italian actor and the father of Maurizio.
I just tried to get a feeling of this man who wasn't really a businessman, was quite glad to be getting the Gucci pay packet.
Gucci is my name too. The House of Gucci opens in theaters November 24th. In Hollywood, Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
And that's our time for tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. Going to leave you with video of today's Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Hey, hope today was special and meaningful for each of you. Be safe. Do this all again tomorrow. See you then.